Hello again, everybody. I'm Roger Hoover. Glad to welcome you back to the Crimson Tide Sports Network, and welcome to this week's edition of Crimson Drive, driven by Tuscaloosa Toyota. Check them out online at TuscaloosaToyota.com. It's an exciting week for Crimson Tide athletics because the football news keeps rolling in very positively, and also the men's and women's basketball teams at Alabama keep winning. So we'll start to go through all of that on the show today as we first take a look at our headlines, and they are presented by RJ Young. They are the official technology solutions provider of Crimson Drive. They've given us a smartboard to go through all the different headlines for today. We will start by taking a look back at the great weekend we saw for Alabama basketball. First, the men's team, that top 15 win against Houston. We'll have our Courtside Cam highlights from that ball game with Chris Stewart and Brian Passink, and then we'll have our conversation with head coach Nate Oats from last night's edition of Hey Coach, presented by Alpha Insurance. Then, women's basketball takes center stage because yesterday the program won its 800th game with a victory over Sam Houston. We'll have the Courtside Cam highlights from that broadcast, as well as our Hey Coach interview with Kristy from last night's edition of Hey Coach, which was the first edition of the season of Hey Coach in kind of basketball season. We have had football editions of the show, and speaking of football, Crimson Tide, the great news keeps rolling in as this is awards season. You're going to continue seeing that as we go throughout the next few weeks, and the biggest award and trophy of them all, the Heisman Trophy, belongs to Alabama quarterback Bryce Young as he earned that honor in New York on Saturday night. He becomes the fourth Crimson Tide player, all in the Saban era, to earn that honor, and he becomes the first quarterback to receive that recognition. So congratulations to Bryce Young. Is also some good news for him and his teammates. 5 players, first team Associated Press All-Americans, along with Will Anderson Jr., Jamison Williams, of course Bryce, and then Evan Neal and Jordan Battle receiving that recognition. Alabama was the only team to have 3 players on the first team, Anderson Jr., Williams, as well as Young, while Evan Neal was on the second team. Jordan Battle was on the third team, but great recognition continues to pour in for the Crimson Tide as we keep getting closer to December 31st and the Cotton Bowl in the college football playoff, Alabama against Cincinnati. But talking about basketball on this show today, we had so much fun on Saturday after Bryce won the Heisman. Of course, Alabama basketball, a thriller against Houston. Back and forth, it was really high-level basketball. It had a thrilling finish as well that you'll see coming up on our Courtside Cam highlights as the Tide win 83-82. And with that victory, and you also factor in the Gonzaga win from the week before, Crimson Tide keep climbing in the polls up to number 6 in the latest AP poll. And now tonight, taking on a Memphis team that has been in the top 25 this season. Had a couple losses recently for Penny Hardaway's team, but this is still a really talented team. Coach Oats told us have a couple lottery picks potentially on their roster. So 8 p.m. is the tip-off. 7 o'clock will be our airtime here on the Crimson Tide Sports Network as we look forward to Alabama at Memphis and what is technically the first true road game of the year for the Crimson Tide. If you look back to the battle in Seattle, that was technically a neutral floor, 4.5 hours away from campus from Gonzaga into downtown Seattle. Now tonight it is at the FedEx Forum, the home of the Memphis Grizzlies, but this is the regular home base for Memphis Tiger basketball, so it's exciting tonight. Alabama at Memphis coming up at 8 p.m. Remember, our airtime will be coming up at 7 o'clock across the radio network, and coming up in just a few moments, we'll take a look back at all the Courtside Cam highlights from that win, plus hear from the head coach of the Crimson Tide, Nate Oats. And Crimson Tide women's basketball team yesterday, a great performance against Sam Houston, 84-50. Alabama only led by a point at the end of the first quarter, 15-14. Taylor Sutton hit a basket to put Alabama just in front before we went to the second quarter, and from that point on, it was all Alabama's. The Crimson Tide outscored the Bearcats 27-9 in the second quarter to really run away with that game. Megan Abrams led the charge with 21 points for the Crimson Tide, and we were getting ready to go to Little Rock coming up on Thursday. That's why we're only scheduled for one edition of Crimson Drive driven by Tuscaloosa Toyota this week, but we learned yesterday afternoon that the game against Little Rock on Thursday has been canceled due to an influenza outbreak on the Little Rock team. Didn't have enough healthy players for the ball game. So Alabama, as it turns out, the last non-conference game is coming up next Monday. The Tide will be home against Winthrop. That'll be a 2 p.m. tip-off inside Coleman Coliseum. And then after that, December 30th at Tennessee to start SEC play. As SEC play is getting closer and closer for men's and women's basketball. But in the non-conference, both of these programs are doing extremely well. And one of the biggest wins in front of one of the biggest crowds we've seen at Coleman, one of the most energetic crowds we've seen in the last several years, was on Saturday night Alabama against Houston, and each and every home game for Crimson Tide basketball, whether it's men's or women's. We're proud to bring you our Courtside Cam as you get to see the broadcasters call the game as it happens. So for the men's game, Chris Stewart, Brian Passing, Tom Stipe on the mic, and they had some very memorable moments as we take a look back at the Courtside Cam highlights from the win against Houston.
The ball goes in the air, and the tap is controlled to the backcourt to our left by the Cougars. We are underway from Coleman Coliseum. The Cougs and the Crimson Tide doing battle. Picked up, though, by Quinterly. Nearly had it knocked away again. No-look pass inside Bediako, the flush. Quinterly back to Bediako. An angry Chuck has showed up early here in T-Town. Left corner, catch and shoot. Three ball is good. Jawan Gary knocking it down. Rebound tipped out into the hands of Davidson, and he'll start the break. JD down the lane, kicks to the wing. Shaq, three, bottom. It was halfway down, it popped out, and then it stayed back down, and Alabama makes it a 13-7 lead.
Almost bottom, and then ultimately bottom. He tricked you on that.
Oh, he did. Well, slipped a gear on that one. JQ trying to work away from a double team. They get it into the right corner. Shaq, catch and shoot three all day long for that guy. When you leave him open, Shaq buries another one, and the Tide leads it by 7. Here's Bama the other way. Flips it ahead to Gary in transition. Great catch, counted, and he is fouled. Bama inbounds into the corner to Bediako. JQ takes it back, lets fly from three, and rattles it in as the shot clock was expiring. Great recognition by JQ, because I lost sight of the shot clock. He didn't. That's what mattered most, and Bama goes back up 48-46. Quinterly throws it down low. Bediako, great pass, great catch, great finish. Charles Bediako dropping it home. Flips it over to Shaq. All alone, three for the tie. Bottom. Rebounding it, Alabama. JQ came out of the tall timbers. Now weaving through traffic to the rack, the left-handed layup.
Nobody stopped the ball. JQ kept going. Alabama able to get a stop out in transition, and this crowd getting into it.
Couldn't hear the whistle. JQ working against him, trying to break him down at 8, at 7, at 6, driving at 5. Fall away for the baseline bottom. What a play, Javon Quinterly. JD the other way, down the lane, high floater, count it, and he's fouled. A chance for the and one for JD Davison.
Needed that in a big way. Houston with a huge offensive rebound, kick out for three. Quick 6-0 run by Houston. The and one, the three-point shot, and this time JD Davison goes in the lane. Looked like it might get blocked. He took the contact down low, was able to throw it up high and soft off the glass, and a huge three-point play opportunity coming up for JD Davison.
JQ right side, working away from a double team, gives it off to Shaq. Three, count it, and he's fouled! Oh, mercy! Shaq, a chance for a 4-point play! 79-78 Cougars. The back and forth contest continues between these two highly ranked teams. Bama ball. JQ to Shaq. Three again. Makes it again. Oh, mercy. Do it, Shaq.
The National Player of the Week coming into this game has come up huge the last two possessions.
Cougars having to inbound it, and JQ almost stole it, and he does! Ball knocked out of bounds, and the Cougars lose control right in front of the Bama bench, and the play of Javon Quinterly tonight has been tremendous.
What a play defensively, a guy that has gotten so much better on that end of the floor. Just a hustle play, and Alabama gets it back.
Back and forth they go. It's Bama's turn. JQ for the lead. No. JD! Oh, goodness! Elevated. Threw it home. And Bama's up with 30 seconds to go. 83-82. Cougars get it front court. Timeout called with 24.6 on the clock. But my goodness, JD Davison, what a finish after the teardrop wouldn't go. They haven't announced the attendance, but it's got to be in excess of 9,000 or 10,000. Great, great energy, great atmosphere, great ball game. Can it be a great finish for the Crimson Tide? They lead by 1, 83-82, 24.6 seconds remain in the game, 23 remain on the shot clock for the Cougars. They've got the ball in the hands now of Shed. Shed with the dribble, working against JQ. Shed still with it, center. Hands it off now to Sasser. Shack guarding him. Shed. Sasser with it. Left of the circle, poked away. 4 to shoot, 3 to shoot. They throw up a prayer. No good. Tip, no. Tip, no. It's over. It's over. And a Houston team that had been getting offensive boards all night long couldn't get the shots to drop. See this one fall off. The officials are discussing things. Kelvin Sampson wants an official review, and the officials are headed to the locker room. They're not going to review it. They're claiming that Alabama knocked it off the cylinder. It looked like the Cougars were the team that did that, and Alabama has won it. 83-82, the final score. The Cougars are literally following the officials all the way to the locker room. They're disgusted. That's all right. Alabama gets the win. What a ball game. Unbelievable. All the feel of a Final Four contest coming into it. All of the feel throughout the course of the night. And Bama hangs on.
Toughness, heart. They dug down deep and made the plays when they had to. It wasn't a thing of beauty. There were some missed opportunities. It was offensive rebounds that put Houston in position to win. It was an offensive rebound for Alabama that won the game. J.D. Davison, the throwdown. The point guard goes up higher than anybody, throws it down. That was the game winner. Alabama needed a stop, and they got it. The deflection forcing a difficult shot. They wanted to go to Marcus Sasser, and how about Jaden Shackelford? Man, how big time was he? Defensively, offensively, made a 4-point play, then knocks down a 3, but he made the plays late defensively. The deflection forcing a difficult shot, and what a game, what a win. This is a team in Houston that will have a chance to go back to the Final Four. Alabama was absolutely tough late when they needed to be, and a huge win for the Tide.
What a fun night. Saturday at Coleman Coliseum. You got to see that, especially at the very end of that video. The players saluting the student section, the fans, everybody celebrating a great win for the Crimson Tide over 13th ranked Houston. And it was kind of a frenzied end to the ball game. As we played you the Courtside Cam clip of that, there was a lot of discussion about whether or not that was a goaltend at the end. And Nate Oats answers that question as he joined us last night on Hey Coach, the first basketball Hey Coach of the season. So right now we'll let you listen back to that interview we had with Nate Oats as he addresses the end of the Houston game plus previews tonight's game against Memphis. Well, Coach, we're certainly excited for the start to the season that your group has had. Figuring out ways to win, you got to like that early in the season like this.
Yeah, you know what? Our defense has been good at times. Our offense has been good at times. I thought Gonzaga both had to be good. You know, Houston, our offense was pretty elite. Our first shot defense was good. You know, we didn't rebound the ball well, but we've proven we can, you know, win different ways. Just be nice if we get 40 minutes of offense and defense both together here.
It was a really frenzied end of the game against Houston. What'd you see from your group trying to defend a buzzer beater attempt by Houston at the end of the ball game?
I mean, our defense was elite. We forced a 35-foot contested shot. We just couldn't come up with the rebound, so we got to do a better job on the glass, but our defense was really good.
And the Crimson Tide get the 1-point win as it was an emotional end to that ball game. We saw Greg Byrne tweet this out yesterday that Coach Sampson had called him to apologize about the way things ended on the floor. We understand that he called you as well. Is there anything you can share from that conversation? Obviously, Coach Sampson has been a great coach in this game for a long, long time.
Yeah, I've got a lot of respect for him. You know, we talked. I'd been down there to visit them before. Just respect the job that they do, and I make sure he understood that I wasn't the whole handshake thing. I wasn't trying to show them up. So, you know, we both said, look, we got games Tuesday. Let's move on. Heat of the moment thing. You know, they got a good program. They do things the right way. We've got a good program. Do things the right way. It came down to literally the last second. Didn't go their way on a controversial no call, and you know, I think the right no call was made. I talked to our director of officials, who's also the American Conference's director of officials. So, we pulled from the same officials. He said the officials got the call right, but it was controversial. I would have been upset if I was on his end. I would have been trying to get an explanation just like he was, and that's what he was doing. I respect it. He apologized for the behavior of some of their staff and players and whatnot, and, it was good, though. And then we ended up talking about just our team, his team, and had a basketball talk, so it was good.
Well, it was really high-level basketball between Alabama and Houston. And speaking of high-level, just J.D. Davison, again, continues to take steps forward. You got to love how he's continuing to develop as a freshman.
Yeah, J.D.'s coming along. I mean, he's just getting better and better every game. You can see his athleticism. Obviously, that tip dunk the block, but, his IQ's getting better. He's learning how to play the game at a college pace, and he's getting more comfortable in it. So I think, like Coach Sampson said, we're going to see he's going to be a lot better in 2 months than he is now, and he's a lot better now than he was a month ago.
Now, Alabama getting ready to take on Memphis tomorrow night. Just when you watch them on film, what stands out to you the most about Penny Hardaway's team?
Their depth, their athleticism, their talent. They're really talented. They're young and they're figuring it out. I mean, preseason, a lot of people were picking them, possible Final Four team. They still got that talent there. They just dropped a few. They're young and they're learning how to win. They've got to figure themselves out. They don't have, they haven't figured out their point guard play particularly well yet. They tried Imani Bates there a little bit, who's super talented, and I think maybe Tyler Harris is going to run a little bit more, and Lomax, but they've got talent. They're going to get it figured out. I hope they get it figured out right after we play them, to be honest with you, because they're really talented.
Well, you get to go on the road to an NBA arena, FedEx Forum. You got to love the fact that your team has been to some great places this year. Obviously, Orlando at the ESPN Events Invitational. You go to Seattle, what felt like a Gonzaga home game. I know it was technically a neutral floor, but you had 18,000 in the building rooting pretty hard for the Bulldogs. And now you got another challenge coming up tomorrow night with Memphis in their building at FedEx Forum.
Yeah, we played in some really good venues. This is our first true road game, but the Gonzaga one was really a road game. I mean, 18,000 people in there. It felt like about 17,900 or 17,800 were pulling for Gonzaga. So I'm looking forward to seeing what our guys do in a true road game. I think we've prepared them, played some good competition, but this is going to be fun. I mean, it's in an NBA arena. Shoot, the Grizzlies are playing in Sixers in it tonight, and then, we'll be playing in it tomorrow. So it'll be a good trip, good game for our guys.
Good energy inside the building, I'm sure, coming up tomorrow at FedEx Forum. But let's go quickly back to the energy that was inside Coleman Coliseum, especially when you consider that a lot of the students had gone home and it was a late-night tip after graduation. To have that building rocking like it was had to be really special for you and your basketball team.
Yeah, no, it was. I was really excited for our players with the crowd. Being the finals had been over, a lot of students, I'm sure, had gone home. The student section was still packed. Just shows you how excited the fan base is for these guys and what they're doing on the floor. Even the non-student fans were maybe as into a game as I've seen in a long time. Maybe since Auburn, my first year here. But it was great. Energy was great. We needed it. They really helped propel us to win against Houston. That win's going to go a long ways come Selection Sunday, and the crowd was a big part of that win. So we need them to keep coming out. We get Jacksonville State Saturday and get a game in Birmingham against Colorado State, who's one of the better teams in the country. So the fans have been great, and we need them to keep coming out for us.
Hopefully you'll see a lot of Crimson in the building coming up tomorrow at FedEx Forum as Alabama plays Memphis. And, Coach, before we let you go, what's most important for Alabama trying to get a win at Memphis coming up tomorrow?
I think the defensive rebounding, it was a problem against Houston. Memphis got a better offensive rebounding rate than Houston does. It's going to be a huge deal in this game. We got to rebound the ball a lot better than we did Saturday. And just our turnovers. Memphis defense, they're number 2 block rate in the country, and they got a high steal rate. So we got to take care of the ball. We got to have really good rim decisions when we drive the ball. We got to be smart. You don't want to challenge some of their shot blockers. And then on the defensive end, we got to rebound the ball a lot better. But those would be the main keys in the game.
Well, Coach, thank you so much for joining us as the Crimson Tide made the trip earlier on the flight to Memphis. But we hope you guys have a great day of preparation leading up right to the game tomorrow. But we're really looking forward to it. And thank you for joining us for the first time this season on Hey Coach. Roll Tide. Thank you.
Appreciate it, Roger. Roll Tide.
Hey Coach is back on Monday nights at Baumhower's Victory Grill in Tuscaloosa, 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock as Coach Oats will join us on each show coming up during basketball season. Last night we had Dana Duckworth join us along with the head coach of the Crimson Tide women's basketball team, Kristy Curry. You'll hear that conversation in a few moments, but just want to remind you that Hey Coach is back on Monday nights and it will be streaming live here on our CTSN Facebook page so you can watch the show. Also, listen, of course, along our radio affiliates. Yesterday, if you're listening to the radio, you heard a lot of crowd noise in addition to some of the play-by-play I mixed in for Alabama women's basketball against Sam Houston, because yesterday was the fifth grade fast break. Great time at Coleman Coliseum, filled up with fifth graders cheering on Alabama to what turned out to be a really historic victory. Let's take a look back at the Courtside Cam highlights from women's basketball yesterday against Sam Houston. Coleman Coliseum has been filled up with fifth graders. It's the annual fifth grade fast break game as about 1,700 fifth graders and their teachers from the Tuscaloosa area are here inside Coleman Coliseum, ready to watch Alabama women's basketball against Sam Houston. Jemiah Mingo-Young, right side of the lane, feels the pressure, finds Barber, top of the key, loads up a three-pointer, bottom. Hannah Barber with the three-pointer. Barber with the basketball for the Crimson Tide. Barber into the paint, floats it up, puts it in with the left hand. Hannah Barber finds Wade Warren, loads up a three from the left wing. That's perfect. Kyla Wade Warren with her third three-pointer of the season, and that makes it Alabama 38, Sam Houston 21. Basketball with Mingo-Young, driving, kicks it out. Barber, left corner, a three, perfect. Hannah from Homewood. Wants some motion as she passes top of the key to Jada Rice. Pulled a long way from the basket. She hands off with two hands to Davis. Davis accelerates left side lane, lays it up, lays it in. 52-28 Crimson Tide thanks to Brittany Davis. Barber, bounce pass top of the key to Abrams. Quick handoff back to Barber. Left alone, a three-pointer on the way. Switch! Hannah Barber knocks down the three-pointer. Kicks it back out. Abrams, top of the key, a three-pointer, up and good. Megan Abrams arched one up from three, connected once again. Alabama 63 and Sam Houston 30. Makes a move to the free throw line, cuts to the basket, right side layup, good. Taylor Sutton able to weave through some traps. Abrams to the right lane, now left wing. Here's Davis with a three, bottom. Jefferson had the ball poked away and stolen away by Brittany Davis. Fast break, bounce pass Sutton. Left side, driving, layup up, layup in. The steal by Davis, the score by Sutton. Sutton hurries over the timeline right. Sutton into the paint, driving to the rim, right side, layup good, and it counts. Taylor Sutton taking over for the Crimson Tide. And one opportunity for Sutton coming up as she was fouled just after flying to the basket. Fifth graders still bringing plenty of energy. With 3:46 to go. Right corner, dribbles in down to the left block. Gordon feeling the pressure. Bounce pass to Cruz, cutting to the basket. Right side layup, good. Allie Craig Cruz with the speed, with the score. Alabama wins its 800th game in program history. Today's final score from the capstone, the Alabama Crimson Tide 84 and Sam Houston 50. I had no idea that's what it looked like calling a game. But anyway, the Courtside Cam highlights from yesterday's women's basketball game. Again, we'll continue that for men's and women's basketball. Home games coming up this season here on the CTSN Facebook page. And, of course, we'll also keep going with Hey Coach. Like I mentioned earlier, now we shift to the basketball and spring sports edition of the show. And we are pleased to be joined by Coach Curry of the women's basketball team yesterday after Alabama picked up the win that turned out to be the 800th in program history. Here's our conversation with Alabama's Kristy Curry. Roger Hoover with you from Baumhower's Victory Grill here in Tuscaloosa. Now we're joined on the phone by Crimson Tide women's basketball head coach Kristy Curry. And Coach, Roll Tide, congratulations on the win earlier today against Sam Houston. How's everything going for you tonight?
It's all good. Thanks, Roger. We're just happy to get another win, a chance for some growth today.
Certainly saw that as Alabama has now won 7 straight games. And if I were to ask overall, what's been a common thread to all the 7 of the victories we've seen in a row for the Crimson Tide lately?
You know, I just think it's been, just a great total team effort. We've seen some kids that have really had big games, but we've just seen a lot of balance across the score sheet. So, you know, when we can get close to getting that fourth player in double figures, I think our kids are sharing the ball. I think they're playing really, really hard and together. and I'm really proud of the direction that we're headed.
Well, this program is moving forward now to 800 wins. We got that milestone earlier today. Just when you see that number, you got to see the players hold up the signs, the 800 after the ball game was over today. Just what does that mean to you to see this program get to the 800 mark?
You know, we're just all so proud to be a part of the history of the program. Just want to try to get to 801 now. You know how we are as coaches. But, you know, this program has such a proud past with, you know, so many coaches, so many trainers, so many managers, so many players, just a lot of folks that have gone into 800. And, you know, we're just really proud to be a small part of that history today and just want to continue it as we move the program forward.
And to get win number 800, you pick up a win against Sam Houston. 84-50 was the final score. And, Coach, the energy was inside Coleman Coliseum all game long because it was the fifth grade fast break that we love having each and every year. I know this is a really special game for you.
It is. You know, it brings a lot of energy to our program, you know, and it's just tremendous to see so many fifth graders and all the teachers, the city, the county schools, the administrators, just everyone that supports this event. You know, we may have a lot of those children that have never been on campus before. So it's such a tremendous opportunity for them to see the cheerleaders, the band, our student-athletes perform. And it was a really special day. We appreciate all of their support, and we hope they'll come back and see us as the season progresses.
They, of course, love cheering on Megan Abrams with 21 points to lead the Crimson Tide in scoring today. And now 4 times she's been over 20 points this season. Just what's allowing her to play with such this much success this early in the season?
Well, you know, it was really a special weekend. Megan graduated on Saturday. She will start a graduate program here in January. It was great because her parents were in the stands to say, you know, to see her today and to be able to see that graduate patch on her jersey. And just Meg is one of those players that's worked so hard. And I know the legacy that she wants to leave at Alabama is really special. She's already committed to come back next season. She's just gotten in the gym. You know, when she first got to Bama, I think that, you know, she was great getting to the rim. She was great getting to the free throw line, but she really worked hard on her catch and shoot. And so it's the counter move that she's added to her game. If you take one thing away, I'm going to counter with another. And when she's scoring the basketball, we're definitely at our best. It gives us another scoring dimension to go along with our group. And I'm just really proud because I know she's put a lot of work and time in to her game.
And speaking of proud, you mentioned just a moment ago, on Saturday she gets to walk at graduation. We saw the pictures with you, her family, as well as Hannah Barber, Allie Craig Cruz, among her teammates cheering her on. That has to be one of the best moments for you year in and year out, seeing graduation. We've had a lot of wins to celebrate at Coleman Coliseum, but it doesn't get much better in graduation.
No, that's what it's all about, you know, and especially on the women's side. You know, we're not going to have, you know, the opportunity financially to go make a lot of money at the next level. We're going to be able to make, you know, some money and go overseas, but just the opportunity to have a degree. And now for Meg, I think Meg will be our 9th player that will leave here with multiple degrees. We're so proud of that. You know, everyone that's finished their eligibility has graduated, you know, in our tenure here. Yeah, just seeing these kids be so happy and successful in life. Honestly, you know, the wins are great and all the things that come with that, and that's ultimately what we're hired to do. But just to see these players go out into the world and make an impact and be happy in their chosen profession, it really is what it's about. And I'm just so excited for Meg. You know, she had a Nike internship this summer. She has such a bright future. She's in economics and finance and now going into with her master's. So no easy task what she's chosen to be. So I'm really, really proud of her because she's the epitome of what a student-athlete should be.
Coach, we already talked about the win against Sam Houston earlier today, and when we finished up our post-game interview earlier at Coleman, we were talking about what's next for Alabama, a trip to Little Rock to take on the Trojans, but we understand that that game has now been canceled. What can you tell us about what's going on for Alabama's next ball game against Little Rock being canceled?
You know, Roger definitely called us a little off guard after you and I talked on the radio earlier post-game. As you could tell, very excited about the opportunity. We thought that would be a tremendous opportunity for us on the road against a really good team that had already beaten Vandy. You know, and I tell you, they called and they have the flu, so we're going to have to take a pause here with that. Certainly hope they get to feeling better. You know, that's the most important aspect of this. But really disappointed. You know, there are not a lot of cancellations right now, so finding a fill-in game hasn't been anything we've been successful with the past couple of hours. So we're going to focus on Alabama getting better and, you know, just the opportunity for us to continue to improve this week. Thankfully, we have a few practice guys in town, and we can go some crimson versus white. We'll get out and give back in the community and find other ways to impact our team in a positive way. I'm just disappointed. Again, I think they've beaten Auburn, they've beaten Vandy. It would have been a great opportunity for us on the road, but control what we can and let's get better this week. And let's try to do everything that we can to control what we can.
So Alabama's final non-conference game coming up next Monday at 2 p.m. against Winthrop at Coleman Coliseum, and then a little bit of a break for the Christmas holidays, and then December 30th at Tennessee to start SEC play. Just what do you need to clean up between now and the Winthrop game, and also keeping in mind that SEC play is just around the corner?
Well, I think from a position standpoint, continue to work on the fundamentals, continue at each position to improve and grow our strengths. Improve our weaknesses. We'll work on some position play time, some film time, teaching. And then, I think as coaches, we're never pleased with where we're at, but know where we can go and continue to work on rebounding the basketball. I thought that was a little bit today. I knew Little Rock would challenge us there, the opportunity to improve. But, we've got to clean up some things with the screening and all the little things. We adjusted practice because we were prepared for the Little Rock Scout and had everything in place, but went back this afternoon late, and been able to really work on what we need to do and how can we put ourselves in a position with our practice guys in crimson versus white to improve this week.
Well, Coach Curry, thank you for joining us on Hey Coach tonight. We're certainly looking forward to Monday against Winthrop, but all the best to you and your team as you get ready for that ball game. Roll Tide. Thank you again.
I appreciate you, Roger. Have a good night and Roll Tide.
Our thanks to Alabama women's basketball head coach Kristy Curry for joining us. Fun conversation with Coach Curry. As she mentioned, the Little Rock game canceled coming up on Thursday. So the final non-conference game coming up for Alabama next Monday, 2 o'clock against Winthrop. Certainly hope you can join us at Coleman Coliseum for the final non-conference game. And then the SEC opener coming up December 30th at Tennessee. We'll get things going for women's basketball the day after the men's team starts SEC play at home against the Tennessee Volunteers. Well, that's what's coming up after the Christmas holidays. But still in this final week before everything kind of shuts down for the Christmas holiday, let's take a look at what's coming up, as we're going to be very busy here on the Crimson Tide Sports Network. Starting, of course, tonight with men's basketball, as the Alabama Crimson Tide are on the road taking on the Memphis Tigers at FedEx Forum. Tip-off is at 8 p.m. Our coverage on the radio will start at 7 o'clock. And then tomorrow, it is National Signing Day, the first of the 2 signing days that we have, but the December window closes tomorrow, and we will recap all of the picks the players that are deciding to come to Alabama with Chris Stewart, Rashad Johnson, Barrett Jones hosting that on SEC Network Plus, so we're really looking forward to seeing that. Also, that'll be on the University of Alabama Athletics Facebook page, YouTube channel as well. So plenty of ways to watch that coming up tomorrow, our signing day special. Then on Saturday, men's basketball against Jacksonville State, 7:30 p.m. Our radio airtime will be 6:30 for that ball game. As we mentioned, the women's basketball game Monday afternoon against Winthrop, followed by Hey Coach from 6 to 7 at Baumhauer's Victory Grill in Tuscaloosa. And coming up on Hey Coach, we'll be previewing the CM Newton Classic coming up next Tuesday, as the men's team will be taking on Colorado State. That is a 6 p.m. tip-off, radio airtime, 5 o'clock from Legacy Arena. So we're looking forward to that on the 21st, kind of closing down the pre-Christmas schedule for Alabama athletics. And a programming note, this is also going to kind of close down Crimson Drive for a couple of weeks. We'll be back on January 3rd, hopefully recapping a win for Crimson Tide football, of course, in the Cotton Bowl, getting ready for the national championship game. But that game, of course, coming up on December 31st. But we still have a lot of content, a lot of games coming up, so make sure you just stay tuned to the Crimson Tide Sports Network radio affiliates all across the state, or here on our Facebook page, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. We've got all the social media channels covered for you here on the Crimson Tide Sports Network. But again, we'll be back with Crimson Drive coming up in the new year on January 3rd. Got to say a big thank you to Nate Oats, Kristy Curry for joining us last night on Hey Coach, and today as well on Crimson Drive. Thanks as well to our producer extraordinaire, Ethan Carabin, putting this show together, and we certainly hope you have enjoyed Crimson Drive this afternoon, again, driven by Tuscaloosa Toyota. For everybody with the Crimson Tide Sports Network, this is Roger Hoover saying thank you for watching, have happy holidays ahead, and let's enjoy some more wins for the Crimson Tide even before Christmas is here. But until next time, Happy New Year, Roll Tide.